Well, it's time to pay the piper. Welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. Y'all might remember that we did a story that we covered back in 2022. Well, that story contained a Jamaican family. Multiple members of a Jamaican family were killed in a house in Queens, New York. One of those members of the family was actually a young nursing student who was set to graduate as soon as she got back to Jamaica. And she was only in the United States of America for a few days just to visit her godmother. And her godmother was her mother's bestie, and her mother was in Jamaica. I'm dragging your memory. If you remember that story, if you don't remember the whole story, then click the link in the first comment posted and pinned, and you can watch our old video with the individual who today is sentenced to life in prison. So let's go through this as we update this story. Welcome back to the channel. If you've never been here before, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you are notified every time a new video is uploaded to SouFLoTV, or every time we do an update to a story we've covered before on SouFLoTV. That was 2022 when that situation happened. 2025 is when it all comes to a head. Okay? A Queens man was sentenced to life in prison for a triple murder of his girlfriend, her son, and a cousin. We're going to get into the details because what I remember was the details were pretty twisted. So, Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz announced that Travis Blake was his name. Travis Blake has now been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the 2022 murder of his girlfriend, Carleen Barnett, and two of her family members, Darvon Brightly, which was her son, and Vashana Malcolm, which was the young 22-year-old nursing student from Jamaica who was visiting the homeowner when she was also killed. Carleen Barnett was the homeowner, and Vashon Malcolm was her goddaughter. Blake, the one convicted of being the killer, he was convicted by a jury last Monday of murder in the first degree and other counts for the June 2022 incident. The bodies of the victims were discovered with an array of puncture wounds and blunt force trauma wounds in a state of decomposition in their shared Jamaica, Queens home. It is said that each person was stabbed multiple times, their throats were slashed, and their heads were bashed in. A lot of emotions went into this killing, but we're going to get into the story behind how it all went down because it was all revealed. So District Attorney Katz said that Travis Blake viciously murdered his girlfriend, her son, and a visiting cousin with knives, hammers, and a screwdriver. He used multiple hammers, he used multiple knives, and one screwdriver. And then he fled New York to avoid being captured. He was on the run for a while, and while he was on the run, he had put out this video, which we have the footage of, which is in our video here, and in the video where I told you to click the link where you can see it even clearer when we covered it back then. It was a video of him playing Christian church music and raising his hands to the ceiling, basically repeating over and over, "May God forgive me, may God forgive me." And he had on a t-shirt, which any military person can recognize as the undershirt to your BDUs or your battle dress uniform. He also had on a couple of dog tags around his neck. Further investigation revealed that he did serve in the military as well. Now, there are no words to describe the trauma and the lifelong sorrow that this defendant has caused for the family of Carleen Barnett and Dervon Brightly and Vashana Malcolm. I'm absolutely sure that Vashana Malcolm's mother is devastated. You got to understand that this is her best friend since childhood. And I'll say I bet her best friend, I mean Carleen Barnett, the owner of the home, which is a much older woman. She was in her 40s. She was the owner of the home. I believe she was like 47 or 48, right? She was the owner of the home. And Vashana Malcolm's mother was her best friend since they were growing up as little girls in Jamaica. So they made a pact to each other. And the pact was that you would look out for me, I would look out for you. I could send my daughter to you every summer so she could come up and enjoy the United States of America, get experience traveling a little bit, etc., and have a safe place to stay, and vice versa. So they looked out for each other and they kept in touch their whole lives. Could you imagine when she found out that her best friend, her daughter, and her best friend's son, who she took as her own son, were all killed in the same house just a few days after her daughter arrived in the United States of America and was enjoying her summer vacation, where she was supposed to go back to Jamaica and graduate from nursing school and finally become a full-fledged nurse. Now, this defendant deserves every day of his sentence, said the judge, and we stand with the victims and their families as they continue to mourn this overwhelming loss. Blake, who is 31 years old, of 155th Street in Jamaica, was found guilty by a jury on April 2nd of murder in the first degree, 3 counts of murder in the second degree, and 2 counts of criminal possession of a weapon in the fourth degree following a 3.5 week long trial. Queen's Supreme Court Justice Yushir Pandit Durant, who presided at the trial, sentenced Blake today to life in prison without the possibility of parole on the first-degree murder charge, plus 25 years to life in prison on each charge of murder in the second degree, and 364 days in jail on each weapons count. 2 knives, 2 hammers, 1 screwdriver, 365 times 5, added to 25 to life, added to life without the possibility of parole. It is safe to say that he is never, ever coming out of prison. These victims are deceased. They no longer feel. They're gone. His hell is just beginning. Now, the sentence on the second-degree murder charges, those are to be served consecutively to one another in a minimum sentence of 75 years and concurrent to the sentence imposed on the first-degree murder charge. 75 years plus life without parole. You weren't coming out already with life without parole. Then to add 75 to life without parole. The only way he is going to be able to get out is the day will come where he will pass away behind bars and they will have to take his body out of whatever penal institution he is in. That's the only way he will be out. This should give some good feeling to the family members of the victims. However, we all know that this is just a drop in the cup because this will not bring their family members back. But at least they know that who did it will never see the light of day again and will spend the rest of their lives paying for what they did to their family members. Now, according to the incident and the trial testimony in June 24th of 2022, it said that approximately 2:15 p.m., emergency medical services responded to 911 call from a resident at a single-family home on 155th Street about a deceased person. The caller, a son of the homeowner, was inside the home when he encountered a foul odor, and he discovered the body of his cousin, Vashawn Malcolm, 22 years old, on top of a bed in an upstairs bedroom in an advanced state of decomposition. Her wrists, her ankles, and her mouth were wrapped with tape. He duct taped her. She was partially nude from the waist down, and she had 3 stab wounds to the chest and 1 to the neck. This right here is where the story gets crazy. See, the woman who owns the house, right? According to the old story, the original story, the woman who owns the house, she in her 40s, upper 40s, heading into her 50s, she had rented out a basement apartment part of her house. She rented that part of her house to the then 27-year-old man who would become the murderer of her and her son and her goddaughter. So she rented the house out to him downstairs, and the relationship became something else. He went from tenant in the basement to the man in her bed. Very much younger than she is. She took on this person as a boyfriend. It was said that she worked a lot and she didn't have a social life. So she went from work to home, you know? And then she found a way where she could have a social life somewhat, or a man of her own then. So he became the man in her bed instead of the guy that paid rent in the basement. Their relationship developed in that manner. It also went on to where the relationship soured, and she decided that she needed him to leave her house now. She had told him to leave. He had begun to pack his things to leave, but said he had nowhere to go, and he was disgruntled. Like, why are you kicking me out? I don't have nowhere to go. Just let me return back to the basement. We call off the relationship and I keep being a tenant and keep paying you your rent. And she said, no, you have to leave. So he took that bitterly. They both also worked at the same facility, some medical facility. And the day in question of the murders, he was seen at work with a huge knife. It was said in a report that it was a Rambo-style knife, according to the report. She asked him, what are you doing with that? And he said, I carry this with me to protect myself on the subway, because you know how things get crazy on the trains in New York. And she said, okay. And then he asked her, what would you do if you found out that your lover was cheating on you? And she said to him, I would just leave. I would just leave the relationship. And he said, all right. And that same day, he left work early. It was said that she would usually get off from work before him. But today, he left work early. Don't know why he left work early, but we found out later. Apparently, the young girl Vashawn Malcolm, who was visiting from Jamaica, she was at home by herself, right? Now, it seems like he also wanted something sexual with Vashawn Malcolm, 22 years old, the nursing student who would be a full-fledged nurse after this holiday was over when she returned to Jamaica. She would have graduated. So he left work with all intentions to not only kill her, but to wait in the house for everybody else that would come into the house and take them out as well, being that he was already told to leave by the older woman, the homeowner, who no longer wanted him as a tenant or as a boyfriend. So he was scorned. So according to the reports, it joins up now that he left work early, left her at work, went to the house where the young Vashana Malcolm was, and he duct taped her, and he duct taped her wrist and her mouth, and she was partially nude from the waist down on top of the bed is how they found her, with multiple stab wounds to her chest and one to her neck. You can guess what else he did with her. The police then discovered two more bodies behind a locked door to the basement. The homeowner, Carlene Barnett, 55 years old, she was found deceased in a puddle of her own blood with 10 stab wounds to her neck alone, or to her back alone, rather. A stab wound to her head, and multiple skull fractures. It was said that she was stabbed multiple times in her back, in her head once, and then she was beaten over the head with a blunt object, cracking her skull. Her son, which is an adult, Dervon Brightly, 36 years old, he was discovered in another basement room with 13 puncture wounds from a screwdriver that was driven repeatedly into his neck, and multiple skull and facial fractures consistent with having been inflicted by a hammer. I'm reading this straight from the government paperwork. This is what held up in court. This is what got this man life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, according to records, according to the trial records, Barnett met Clark at work, and the two began dating. They lived in the home together with Barnett's son, Brightly, and Malcolm, a nursing student, and Barnett's niece, who was visiting the island from the island of Jamaica for the summer. A fifth person, Barnett's other son, also lived in the home. You know what's crazy is Barnett's other son, the one that found everybody, he was, first of all, you got to think how gruesome this is, right? To walk into your mom's house, because he was used to talking to his mom all the time. They had a close relationship. So if he texted, even if she was at work, she would text right back. Or when you have your child text you and you're at work, you run in the bathroom real quick, send a quick text, and then get back to work. So when he kept texting and calling and texting and calling, and his mom was not answering, he was like, let me go home and see what's going on. So when he got to the house, he discovered the scene, and he was the one that called the police, right? Now, video surveillance of the exterior of the house detailed in the trial record showed the defendant, Blake, as Blake was entering and as he was exiting the home several times between June 22nd and 24th. The video recordings also showed Brightly entering, that is her son, entering at approximately 2:50 p.m. on June 22nd, wearing a striped shirt. When the 36-year-old's bloodied body was discovered in the basement, he was found wearing the same striped shirt. He went home. This man pounced up on him and murdered him too. The surveillance video also showed the defendant outside the residence in a green shirt before Brightly came home on June 22nd. And a short time after Brightly entered the house, Blake exited the building wearing no shirt at all, with a bandage wrapped around one of his hands. Apparently, he had cut himself during the struggle process of committing the murder. Barnett was also seen on video coming home on June 22nd around 7:30 p.m. That was the last time she was seen alive. Now, when she was killed, she was still wearing the jacket that she arrived home in. which tells the detectives that she was attacked pretty much as soon as she entered that house, because what he did was he lay weighted them, and each person that came in was killed as soon as they came into the house. The defendant, or the guy who was now sentenced to life, they had surveillance cameras outside of the house, and the surveillance cameras were 1080 HD high quality, and he was recorded on video for the last time after the incident at approximately 1 a.m. on June 24th, walking towards Sutpin Boulevard and getting into a taxi cab. So the detectives had a great lead. Blake was apprehended in Maine weeks after the incident, and he was extradited back to Queens, New York. Police found a blood-covered screwdriver with a missing bit beside Brightly's body. The missing bit was later recovered from Brightly's neck during the autopsy. How hard must you have stabbed somebody for the tip of a screwdriver to break off in their neck? Damn. So police discovered the rest of the screwdriver in his neck. There was also blood-stained hammer and buckets inside the residence, along with bottles of household cleaners with blood stains on them. Apparently, he tried to clean up the murder scene before he left. Investigators retrieved an empty roll of duct tape and a green blood-stained shirt from the home. Now, during the trial, the DNA evidence from crime was presented, linking the defendant to a blood-stained shirt and a bloody footprint that was found on the basement floor next to Barnett's body. That's the woman's older son's body. A fingerprint matching the defendant was also discovered on a blood-stained mop on the stairs leading to the basement. Internet activity from a phone that was used by Blake reflected that he was reaching, which states that the death penalty in 2022, or he was researching rather, which state had the death penalty in 2022. When they confiscated his phone from him, that's what he was searching. Which state has the death penalty in 2022? Shows that he committed the murders, didn't even know if the state of New York had the death penalty or not, and panicked after started researching, am I going to get the death penalty? Which kind of tells you that this is not someone who was going to off himself as well, because he plans to go through whatever the consequences are. So he's basically looking up what his punishment might be. Given how gruesome he did this to these three individuals, he pretty much knew that he was going to get the worst punishment there was. And he started looking up what states have the death penalty in 2022. Now, Assistant District Attorney Jonathan A. Selkoe, Deputy Chief of District Attorney Homicide Bureau, they prosecuted this case with the assistance of District Attorney Ashley Clement of the District Attorney's Felony Trial Bureau, under the supervision of Assistant District Attorney John Kosinski, Bureau Chief, and under the overall supervision of Executive Assistant District Attorney for Major Crimes, Sean Clark. They prosecuted this case, and they brought this case to an end with a verdict of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, if you check Jamaica news, especially in the Jamaica Observer and in the Jamaica Gleaner, you will see this story running now. I don't know if it's ran in this much details, but we covered this from way back in the day, 2022, which was not that long ago, but it seems like it was. The only new information that we have that came out at trial that did not come out before was when the bodies were first discovered. It said that the young nursing student who was visiting from Jamaica was found upstairs in on the bed, and she was stabbed multiple times. So the new information that came out in court was that her hands were duct taped, her feet were duct taped, her face was duct taped rather, and her hands were duct taped, her mouth, and that she was found naked from the waist down. That piece of information right there was not revealed from before. So, back when we did the story, we were kind of on every day talking about be careful who you let into your life, be careful who you let into your home and give a place to stay, etc. Be careful who you get involved with. This was a much younger man who this woman turned from a tenant that she rented a downstairs basement apartment of her house into her lover, and then it turned sour like this. There's so many parts to this story that's still moving. Did he do this out of lust? Was that the reason why she wanted to break up with him in the first place? Did he do this because he was just upset that she wanted to leave him, or she felt he was cheating on her, or she was cheating on him, or he was upset because she was kicking him out and he had nowhere to go? We don't know exactly why he did this. The stories are that he did this because she ended the relationship and told him to leave, pack your stuff and leave. And she gave him a deadline to leave. And around the time he committed this murder, his deadline was approaching for him to get out of the house. But how did the Jamaican medical student or nursing student get caught up in this and get found in the way she got found? Kind of tells us that he also did something there which probably he wanted to do all along. Anyways, justice for the victim and justice served. Justice for the family members surviving of these victims, and again, justice served. Leave your comments in the comment section below. And remember, the only other alternative to his punishment would have been the death penalty. However, life in prison without the possibility of parole, which means he will never ever get out, that is as best as it gets. I'll catch you on the next video. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace. Oh, and be careful who you let into your house. Be careful who you let stay in the place where you lay down at night, close your eyes, and go to sleep. Be careful who you let into your life. Be careful who you start and build a relationship with. Be very, very careful. Peace.